Academy episode 18.
The truth is that we're a trade that's always figured out a way to fix the cars that the manufacturers produce. So thank God for the manufacturers. Thank God for all the crazy systems they come up with. We're going to be able to figure out how to fix them. I think the big takeaway from Cars Detroit is that these things are going to be fixable and they're going to be profitable for auto repair shops to fix them. So they're not going to be a disaster for us. They're going to be good for us.
Welcome, automotive aftermarketers, to a Remarkable Results Radio Town Hall Academy. Listen to learn just one thing from today's episode on your journey to remarkable results.
Welcome, aftermarketers from North America and around the world, to the Town Hall Academy Forum, a review of the ASA Connected CARS event held in Detroit in May 2017. It's Carm Capriato here, your host. If you want to catch up on the future of vehicle technology, you picked the right episode. Because not everyone has the time to sit in front of a video screen or to be on Facebook, this is the perfect medium to deliver these powerful Academy lessons that are presented every Friday at 12 noon Eastern. See, we take a single topic each week with an industry panel and broadcast live on my webinar platform and on Facebook. You can learn all about connecting at remarkableresults.biz/townhall. See the show notes for this Town Hall Academy at remarkableresults.biz/A018. There you'll find additional guest bio information, the episode talking points, and links to my guests' past episodes. The Academy Podcast, another powerful resource of educational content inside the Remarkable Results radio program. Use it to improve your knowledge base and success. Now, listen to a great overview of the ASA Connected CARS event with Donny Seyfer, the event organizer. Donny is a second-generation repair shop owner and ASE master technician. An active industry educator, Donny is past chairman of the Automotive Service Association and works nationally to help repair shops with IT and service information utilization. Donny is also a member of the board of trustees of NATEF and a trustee of AMI. Also, Peter Rudloff is here. He's the owner of Pete's Garage in Newark, Delaware. He's also a national automotive advisor and instructor, a nationally published technical writer, and part of the Delaware Training Group. Also, Craig O'Neill, third generation in O'Neill's Transmission and Service. He is an ASE certified technician and service consultant. He's excited about the technological advances the industry is seeing. And also Dave Wagner, a technician working at Savage Automotive Technologies in Northeast Philadelphia. Dave is an ASE CMAT L1, L2, L3, assistant coordinator at the Delaware Training Group, and an EV hybrid technician. Enjoy this lively discussion with these four engaging technicians as we discuss the ASA Connected CARS event and future technology. Here we go. Welcome, everyone, to the Remarkable Results Radio Town Hall Academy. So, Donny, I'm going to start this thing off with you. What motivated you to hold this event?
Well, I've been working with through the association on telematics and the connected car pieces. And the more that I saw this evolve, the more I became fearful for the guys who repair cars that where's the platform for them to learn about this? And so I pitched it to our board of directors and said, I got this idea. I want to do a program that's really at the high end of the technical scale. So they jumped on board and said, go for it. And that's really how we got there.
You are all in, if you will, on connected cars and telematics. But Donny, was there one outstanding new thing you learned last week?
Well, I did learn one thing for certain, and that is that you cannot attend a class when you're running all of them. So I missed a lot of the material. Fortunately, they sent out a lot of the pieces to me in advance, so I got to read them. But I think the biggest thing that I took away will not be what someone who attended took away. I took away that there are a good number of folks in the industry who are already paying attention, but that there's a gigantic gulf between them and the other folks that were going, oh my God, I've never seen this stuff before. I didn't know it was like this. And a lot of preconceived notions were destroyed.
Let's talk about one of those preconceived notions. You said to me, CARM, consumer education, must go hand in hand with technician education. What do you mean by that?
I think the biggest problem is that consumers don't understand what's coming their way, and they see these things as features on the cars. You know, oh, look, I've got blind spot detection. But when that system needs some service, and that's probably not the ideal system to bring up, but if that system needs some service, they may be stunned by what the costs are to maintain that. You know, that $800 or $900 line item option that's got that package of pieces in it that they call safety items, and they are, but that line item could turn into all kinds of things down the road and through service. I don't know how these vehicles work if the stuff isn't all there.
You know what Donny did at the event when you opened it up, Donny, and please remind me that this was you, because I took some really good notes. You talked about the safety issue that in 2015 was issued, that there were 35,092 deaths on the U.S. roads. Was that was your piece,
yeah.
Wasn't it, Donny? It was kind of like your keynoter.
Yeah.
96 per day, or a crash of a 737 every other day, and to me that was impactful to understand where the safety systems in the vehicles are going. Forget autonomous cars driving themselves, even just as it exists today. And you open this thing up, and I think you got everyone's attention that we're in the safety business.
Yeah, and we have been for quite some time. It's just that the systems that have been out there are much more passive. You know, we repair broken seatbelts and airbags get repaired when there's an accident. But that when you start looking at these systems that are actively, I think one of the presenters put it, you've got that really busy passenger who's keeping an eye out for you on everything. When you think that you've got that on board and that all has to work right and its view of the world has to be right, I think those are the big things consumers need to understand. The techs will wrap their head around it easily. I mean, that was obvious at this event. That it was like a bunch of sponges out there soaking it up.
Pete, you said no doom and gloom in the repair trade with all this stuff coming on, right?
Yeah, it's all good news for us, man. I mean, for the past 130 years that our trade has been around, we've hit all these points in time where, you know, our trade's doomed. We're going to go out of business. We're not going to be able to fix cars anymore. In the 1970s, it was emissions, right? In the 80s, it was fuel injection. And then it was OBD2, and then it was, you know, CAN and hybrids, right? Well, now it's, you know, safety systems, ADAS systems. And the truth is that we're a trade that's always figured out a way to fix the cars that the manufacturers produce. So thank God for the manufacturers. Thank God for all the crazy systems they come up with. We're going to be able to figure out how to fix them. I think the big takeaway from Cars Detroit is that these things are going to be fixable, and they're going to be profitable for auto repair shops to fix them. So they're not going to be a disaster for us. They're going to be good for us.
Craig, you said to me, oh my God, if you listen to Deborah Bazina from GM, you learn something incredibly interesting. What was that takeaway?
There's a conflagration of terms that's flying around this topic. You have, like Donny was saying too, there's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of necessity for consumer education that exists here, and a lot of that responsibility is going to fall on us as shop owners. We're on the front lines of questions that consumers have about how their vehicle should be functioning, complaints that they're feeling, and they have these preconceived notions on what a connected car is. And the term autonomous cars thrown around, and people will say, "Hey, when are autonomous vehicles going to become a thing?" And I liked how Deborah consistently says that it's probably not. Autonomous cars probably won't be, but fully connected, automated cars will be, and they're on the way. And this is what we're doing to do that, and all the infrastructure improvements, the DSRC, and there's a whole line of technology that's there to make sure a car is connected, but it is automated, and that is different than a car that's going somewhere on its own, and it's not an autonomous entity. You're not going to ask your cars, "Hey, I feel like going to the store right now. You okay with that?" I mean, these cars they have systems that are there to help you, to keep you safer, and they're really robust, and they're exciting. And I think there's a lot of young technicians that are going to hopefully start coming into this trade also very excited to be dealing with this technology. We're dealing with a generation. They like their phones. They like a lot of distractions. And now you have a car that is helping some of those human weaknesses and keep you safe.
You're probably on the cusp of being a millennial, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, they call us cuspers.
Let me share with you one of my major takeaways when Deborah Bazina and Donnie, it was you back at Vision when we did a recording. You were all talking all over Deborah and her qualifications and her PhDs, and you said she's really going to rock the world. She's going to come in there. She's going to say some stuff that's going to be pretty big and powerful. We need to listen to her. And that's what hit me, Pete, and team, when she said autonomous cars, we're not going to have them. And I think everybody went, weren't we going to hear about that stuff here? Isn't that why we came? And she really dispelled that it's almost like the wrong word to use. And he just nicely covered it, Craig. Dave, a millennial jumping into this, oh my God, you've just got to say, bring it on, let me have it, right?
I think this is some really cool stuff. I'm looking forward to, the first one rolling into the shop and, doing some exploratory on it.
ADIS systems, is it a niche for shops to want to make sure they stay on that cutting edge? But do the consumers know that you're going to be a shop that's qualified to fix this?
Yeah, other shops that know us and all of our customers, they know we stay on the cutting edge of all the latest technology. So, yeah, they're going to know. All the body shops in the area, they're going to know that we're on top of it.
Thank you so much. Donnie, vehicle to vehicle, that was another big takeaway. Talk to us about that Vita V and the Vita I piece that came out.
I think for most of our guys that were there, vehicle to vehicle was not a mystery. That was sort of something they expected. Deborah talked about dedicated short range communications, or DSRC, which Department of Transportation is very behind, all in, as you say. Interestingly enough, though, there's also the telecommunications industry that's pioneering this 5G technology, which is really high-speed internet. And I heard a little bit of a disconnect going on between the government voice and the voice of the industry that's going to provide this backbone. And it sounded like DSRC was going to be able to just work all on its own. And I think that couldn't be further from the truth. So that piece I thought was interesting, and that's something that will evolve. I'll continue to write about that stuff as more of it comes out, because right now I think there was a lot of opinion going on there. Granted, she's got a handle on what's happening in her world, but I think that the infrastructure piece might have been news to a lot of people, and that really vehicle to infrastructure has had a lot of problems because you have to low jack every single intersection and everything that moves in the entire infrastructure. So everything from a kid walking down the street with a cell phone on his butt to, an intersection and a corner on a street, and how does all of that work? And so the infrastructure piece is really expensive. But I think what we're seeing is there are sort of some other ways to do that with high definition mapping and other techniques like LiDAR to sort of see things and then map them and share them with others. And so I think there's a lot of different things that fall under those terms. It's not just a radio broadcasting back and forth. So I'm real interested to see where that goes. In fact, I think that's going to be some of the funnest stuff of all.
I was recently in a Verizon store. The guy said to me, 5G may be as fast as fiber. Did anybody ever hear that?
Yeah.
It's really fast.
Yeah, true 5G is a little ways out.
Yeah, I hear it's what, 3 or 4 years yet, maybe?
On cars, maybe, but it's going to be here faster than that.
Oh, it's going to be on our phones faster than, yeah. I can imagine all the work that has to do to build the infrastructure in the cars.
A lot of these things have a long ways to go. Yeah, even when you're dealing with the DSRC, I mean, full market penetration for this technology, where the potential for all cars to exist on some network that's communicating from vehicle to vehicle, vehicle to interface. And it could take easily, there's various estimates, but 15 to 17 years for full market penetration. And so we're going to have this sort of a gray area on where some cars are older, not going to be on it. Maybe they can have some backwards compatibility, but the mandates for what new vehicles are going to have, I mean, we have to watch all those things, and the responsibility is on us to understand which vehicles are equipped, let our customers know. And we talked a little bit too, there's lots of questions to some of those engineers. We were talking about whether VIN decoding on their vehicles is going to give us the information on what systems are equipped on the vehicle, and some of that's not the case. My brother's in mobile diagnostics. Right.
Most of them.
Right. Well, my brother's in mobile diagnostics, and he's already faced in several situations where even pushing current vehicles, programming calibrations, you can't just do anything off VIN. You've got to go digging around for the RPO codes on a vehicle just to see what it was actually produced with. And so we have several, I think, years of that sort of thing where there's a heavy responsibility that shops are going to have to learn to identify if a vehicle is even fully equipped to do things that customers may assume it's capable of doing, but maybe it really is not. Yeah.
So, Dave, you believe that as you're learning to be an instructor, that you're going to be actually teaching calibration and ADAS systems in the future?
That's definitely the plan. I'd like to definitely teach, what's coming down the road. And once it gets here, people are going to need to learn how to do it. So, yeah. That's definitely my goal.
Your biggest takeaway from last week?
I tell you, one thing that concerns me is the security. I mean, like we're all going to be connected to cars through the internet, and, I think we're all going to have to be almost like our own IT guys because, for security purposes, we're going to be connected to the cars. And what's to say we don't accidentally download a virus to a car or something? That's pretty scary. I mean, that's, our PC could be infected and, it can cost somebody their lives, and that's pretty scary stuff.
That's a great point. Mohan Sethi from Mahle was there and presented on secure diagnostics. And Donny, by the way, what a group you had present. I mean, every time we got done with one of the instructors, Pete, another one came up and blew it out of the water.
It was all home run hitters, man. It was all home run hitters.
All I think about is, are we just a little years too early at this? Or is this just, we've got to get not just the toe in the water, but we've got to be up to our knees in this. You guys agree that it's never too early to get this going, in bringing it in our culture, changing our business models, looking for the training?
Carm, we've been dealing with systems, ADAS type systems for quite some time now. They're not brand new. I think adaptive cruise control goes back to somewhere in the 2004 range, 2003, somewhere in that range. So we've been seeing these systems. They were more very select, going in the early years on your $80,000, $100,000 cars. So now we're starting to see them now in the 2012s and 2011s that are a more economical car that your every person car. So we're seeing them more prominently now, but they're not new. It's important to realize they're not new. They're just a new version of a system that's cheaper for the OEs to produce. So we're going to see more of them.
Yeah.
So it's important for us to be ahead of this thing. I mean, you can make the argument that we're behind just because the systems have been around longer than there's been training like this on them.
I think you're spot on also, Carm, about being in now. Because here's the thing. When hybrids came out initially, you had one model. And people were all going to training. I was teaching classes on them. And all along, I'm like, this is ridiculous. They don't represent at this point even 0.25% of the population. So these guys are not going to see these things. And the warranties are super long. But here's the difference. That was a model of car. This can be on any model of car. So proliferation is going to be not at 0.5% or 1%. It's like overnight, 10, 15% of the cars have it. Then 70% of the cars have it. And because they integrate with systems that middle road techs interface with, right? So guys who are younger techs who are just doing general repair and light maintenance are going to interface with these systems. When they're doing those operations, That's why it's so critical, in my opinion, and really why we did this program, to get the cutting edge guys there and say, here's how they work. Go out and teach everybody, basically plant the seeds and get this thing going.
Yeah. You do rear toe adjustment on a vehicle, and now you've got a camera up front that needs to be recalibrated. Do you have the equipment to do that? Or is that vehicle leaving your shop now with a light on and an inoperable system?
But I continue to think, Donny, and I think it was you, about the education, not only for the technician, but the consumer. When we recognize that there is an advanced driver assistance system, ADAS, on a vehicle, shouldn't we be having that conversation with our customer?
100%.
And to me, that was another really big takeaway for me. We cannot say, oh my God, look at all this stuff that's coming out. Be excited, go to the training, come back, be a repeatable person, says, hey, I learned this is important, we're investing, we know, we're calibrating, we're in touch. If not, where are these consumers going to go when the light comes on or the dealership network continues to hammer? Listen, when it comes to safety in your car, we're your only choice. We can't. We have to start that dialogue. And so, yeah, we learned some really high-tech stuff in Detroit last week, but we learned that we can't let it go by us, because this is bigger than fuel injection. This is probably one of the biggest moves ever, Pete. I mean, you brought it up before. This has got to be one of the biggest technological moves ever.
And every decade we hit the biggest technical jump forward every decade, right? That's how it's worked. Is every decade there's a new big technological advance. This is our new big technological advance. But dude, we're ready as a trade overall. We're ready to attack this thing, and we're ready to fix these systems. And I think that the CARS conference was a big piece of getting the right information to the right people that are going to be able to trickle down, teach the rest of the trade. So it's super exciting.
Expand on the fact that you said ADAS systems are easy to diagnose.
So they practically diagnose themselves. One of the really cool things about a lot of the really new systems is they have so much technology built into them that so long as you have a scan tool and a little bit of service information, you're probably going to get to the root cause of what's going on with them. They don't fail organically, which means they don't just go bad on their own. Typically, somebody did something to it. Either the car was crashed, or like Craig said earlier, you adjust rear toe, now the camera's looking left, right? So typically somebody's done something to it, and the systems are so advanced that they know what's been done to them almost. They can almost tell you, all right, hey, we're looking too far to the left, so you need to look at this area here. Was the car crashed, or was toe adjusted, or that sort of thing. You get into their circuitry issues. There's so much more detail in the circuitry issues than you have on like OBD2 systems, that so long as shops are tooling up with the right tooling, some training, these cars are going to be easy to fix, and they're going to be profitable to fix.
And I think it's important for the customers to understand that these systems are easy to fix. Like we were talking about earlier, educating the consumers, I think it's important that they see that we are not afraid of these things. We're excited about them, ready to embrace them. My favorite thing to do is when I'm in conversations with clients is to tell them, hey, I just went to this conference in Detroit. We're talking about these connected cars, and I was like, oh yeah. Well, and I asked the clients, what do they think about these new vehicles coming out? Depending on the generation, one of the most common things that I hear though is like, aren't you worried about getting hacked? And okay, but that's consistently the thing that consumers, our clients, and the people who will be driving these cars, we should be listening to this, and we should be learning about this, and hopefully, and I felt like after this conference, hacking before I went into this, that's going to be a concern. Like David was talking about, cybersecurity is very, very critical that shops do manage their scan tools, but these aren't going to be easy for a hacker to do. Now, of course, there's always a lot of time hackers can figure it out when they're funded well or committed to that process. But the operating system that drives the vehicle, that's not an easy thing to write a virus for. Now, maybe to get in your phone through an infotainment system or things like that are. But I think it's nice to be able to tell the clients that, they're really thinking about these things. They're doing a good job. And I'm actually hearing from actual engineering people at this conference, It's like, no, I mean, auto technicians, we all are, right? We have a love-hate relationship with engineering. I was really impressed with these guys, and I think that it's gonna be okay.
We were talking about educating the consumers, and who are the best people to educate them? The service advisors, right? So where are we going to get the training, Donny, for the service advisors?
There's just only so many fish we can fry at one time. But one of the things that we're looking at is building some AMI training that would give the service advisors this information in pieces. Because for a lot of them, it's going to be a lot to digest right away. So that's sort of the plan.
David, tooling, are you on the cutting edge at all about the calibration? Have you seen anything about what it's going to take to calibrate a repaired vehicle?
Well, it's definitely going to take compatible scan tools, whether factory or compatible aftermarket, and it's definitely going to take some fixtures to be able to, measure out distances so the cameras can calibrate themselves. Radar, stuff like that.
Donny, tell me about the future of this this seminar, this conference that you're going to have. Whether there were 100 and 150 people there, there should have been 10,000 there. Of course, it's new. We're doing everything we can as far as the media side of the industry to promote what you did and to get these stories told and to continue to have future podcasts. What's the next steps to immerse the entire industry to be sure they stay that one step ahead or in it, deep in it?
Well, I think that with like any training, you can only teach the people who are willing to show up. And if they're not willing to show up, I can't go knock on their door and I can't put notes on their refrigerator for them that they need to be places. But we really tried to do a very grassroots kind of marketing thing so that techs were hearing this from channels that they live in. So that piece, and it just volumes of what you did to help promote this, and our Facebook community did to promote this, and also what Babcock's did to help us. I mean, it was all very well orchestrated. They all worked together. And back at headquarters, Leona kind of had her finger on all the buttons, so that was really helpful. But the future is this. I'm sure that we'll do another one. We're doing in Vegas. We're going to be doing what we're calling this the Advanced Vehicle Technology Forum. We've had this event we've done called TTF, which was telematics and technology. Kind of felt like that limited me a little bit. We needed the telematics piece of it initially to get interest and get people there. And now that they understand it, we can talk about a little broader topics. So the piece at Apex is going to feature a lot of this same kind of stuff, but it's going to be aimed, we're going to explain it a little bit better. We're not going to say, we already understand that you are Pete Rudloff, or you are Craig O'Neill, or you're Dave Wagner, and you get all this stuff to begin with. And so here's the really big picture. We're going to help them understand how this fits in their business and what to do to make this part of your business model. So that's our focus there. But we'll also have some sexy stuff. We've got a lot of participation from the manufacturers for Vegas. So that's the next step. The next connected cars will probably not be about connected cars. Because I feel like we could kill that and wear it out, and there will be other opportunities to spread that. So I think our next focus will be on some other advanced vehicle technologies. I'm thinking powertrains. I'm not going to tip my hand just yet, but I've already got some of the best in Detroit lined up that are very excited about the opportunity to talk to our guys about that. So the whole idea behind connected cars for me when I pitched it to the board was connecting technicians with engineers and making sure the educators are in the room too, so that they can pass it along. So right now that's where we're trying to move forward. And I assume we'll do it again. I can't imagine we wouldn't. Half of our board was there and was really into the whole thing. So we'll do it in Detroit again, because that's where these guys live and that's where you can get them.
Now, Donny, you said something so interesting, the business side of ADAS, and I wrote down business model. Will we in the future have to worry about service professionals making some changes in how we do business because of technology?
I don't see how you avoid that. I also don't see that being something you have to go, I have to do it today. This is something that's going to evolve. But as vehicles that have more of these features on them are coming out, the collision industry really wants to keep up. And you can see that the leaders are doing a really good job with that. I don't see a lot of shops. I think when they start looking at the model, they're going to say, I either have to open up a whole nother business or I have to start partnering with somebody who can do this stuff for me. And Pete's already got that model and he's already working in that direction. Well, actually, probably everybody on this is working with collision shops because our diagnostic skills make it easier for them to get their cycle time where they want it and all of those things that have to happen in a collision shop.
When I saw Steve Zach under the tent outside with this ungodly big calibration contraption, and then he told us what he thought it would sell for, and I think everyone said, ooh. I'll wait for my friend to buy that, right? So the business model, and like you said, are we going to have to be like Pete, if you will, the come-to centerpiece? Pete, besides doing the really heavy, tough diagnostic challenges for many of the shops around you, do you see you ever one day putting in a calibration booth?
It certainly is possible. So here's kind of how I look at it, and this is how we treated programming 10 some years ago when you're doing reflashes and programming started becoming really popular on automobiles. I think early adopters are going to be ahead of the curve. Early adopters are going to probably be the most profitable over time. So whoever gets in early is going to know, they're going to understand the systems, they're going to develop the reputation for being able to do it. You're going to have that expense on the front side, but I think that once everybody's doing it, like programming has become really popular now. Everybody's doing just regular, programming, J2534, OEM programming, the whole 9 yards. So it's kind of driven the profit down some as tooling has gotten more and more expensive. So I think early adopters that get into this are going to see profits very early on, and they're going to develop the reputation that allows them to sustain being able to do calibrations for the point of time that calibrations are something that you need fixtures for. I think the tough part is that there's probably a finite time that the fixtures are going to be around. I think we're going to see that in another 5 to 10 years, you're going to press a button in the car, maybe with a scan tool or maybe just with a car, and the cars are going to go into auto learn mode. And then as you're driving down the road, we're already starting to see that on some of the manufacturers where they self-calibrate.
Yeah.
Everybody's ultimately going to go to self-calibration, but there's a 10-year block of cars out there have these systems that need to be calibrated with fixtures and with tooling. Somebody's going to make money doing that.
And it's going to have a limited exposure, like you say. I mean, not everyone's going to go out and want to spend 5 figures to get all the equipment.
If you get your reputation in place and can do it and show that you're competent doing it, it'll be a great profit center for the shops to pick it up.
I totally agree with Pete. I mean, as a tech, I've noticed over the years times that the guy I worked for, he would always buy equipment. And a lot of times I can never understand where he would get his justification from for buying the stuff. But always being the first guy on the block doing the work, and the equipment would always pay for itself right away, and as like Pete said, as everybody else starts catching up and starts doing it, it becomes less popular, and the equipment's paid for at that point. So everybody else is trying to get it paid for at that point.
You want to develop that reputation up front.
Exactly.
Calibration specialist, right, Pete?
There you go. I like it.
Is it possible that you could do this stuff with anything on your own? Donny, I saw this unbelievable equipment, lasers and jigs. Is somebody going to figure out a different, better, less expensive way, or is this going to have to be?
Oh, yeah. If there's anything that the aftermarket has demonstrated over the years, is that they'll figure out a way to do it more efficiently and more streamlined. And I think that's Bosch is the first to really step up and say, how can we build a system that's more universal and
economical?
And economical. And, and back to Pete's point about, I think what you also have to keep in mind is he's saying there's going to be 10 model years of vehicles, and this is just pulling a number. We don't know exactly, but there's going to be 10 model years where this occurs. But the average age of a car right now is a little over 11 and a half years. So we're all retired except maybe for the two young guys here, right? And those cars are still going to need to be serviced. Now, with that said, there's also a good likelihood that a good hard hit totals a lot more of these cars than ever before, just simply because of the content that's up front. We just went through a big hailstorm here in Colorado, and I had my electric Focus totaled because of how many things got broken over and above the body.
Think of all these vehicles with the cameras that are sitting behind a windshield now. Windshield's getting smashed in hailstorms. That's a lot of calibrations.
and an expensive piece of hardware.
Wow.
Was I right in understanding that every time a windshield gets replaced, you have to recalibrate?
It depends. The cliche depends. If you put the wrong windshield in, you're going to just be kind of messed up permanently. And if you put the right windshield in, you may or may not have to do a calibration. Because technically the camera shouldn't move on most models when you do the windshield. But if you put the windshield in off center or something, it could create a problem.
Yeah, that's where differences in manufacturers come in too.
Right.
So, yeah.
Your service information will be key on that.
Absolutely.
Well, look, I have so enjoyed this. I think we've done a great service by you guys agreeing to come on here 1 week after the great conference in Detroit and put this into perspective for us. And what I would like to do is just to go around the room and ask you just for one final last piece, share with as if you were having coffee at Starbucks, share with a friend your takeaway on not only the conference, but how you're looking at future technology based on what you learned last Friday. Craig, I'll start with you.
We recently rejoined ASA, and I had started some conversations with Ray Fisher about my concerns for, viability for businesses with this emerging new technology. It was actually right at the time that Donny was coming through Grand Rapids, and he hosted a smaller, more truncated version of this connected cars talk. And so we went to that seminar, and we were really encouraged. That was one of the first times that some of the fear was removed, and it was replaced with just some of the most encouraging information that I've yet been exposed to. So as soon as I heard about this conference, I was like, yeah, we're going. I took one of my techs with me, and we need to learn this stuff. I'm actively planning on scaling the business to accommodate this sort of technology. And it's important that we do so starting now. These plans take a long time to develop and implement. But, this technology, the other thing I left with is like, golly, I hope that ADAS doesn't become the modern TPMS sensor of our day, that light that customers just don't care about. Okay, my ACC is not working, but I don't care. I just drive it like that anyway. Or my blind spot monitor isn't working, or whatever. I mean, my car, I'm still the driver here anyways. I'm not worried about that. I don't want to pay thousands of dollars to fix something on the car. And so you just have these lights in these vehicles that are no longer functioning at a level that they were designed to function at. You're losing safety. But I mean, you hear stuff all the time. Customers will say, oh, it's just my kid's car. They're going to smash something anyway. And I'm thinking, I'm going to have kids driving age soon. These cars with this technology, that's what I want them learning to drive in. This is the sort of stuff that is going to help keep them safe. I think it's a valuable thing for the general public. I want to see people also excited about it. I got to learn about it too. And conferences like this were just fantastic. I'm trying to make plans to get out to Apex now too with more of the crew. So we'll see where that goes, but really appreciated it.
David, let me give it to you.
Craig mentioned the business model. At the beginning of Connected Cars, Donny mentioned about how these cars may be pulling into your service station a whole lot more, because people are going to be sharing cars. So instead of, 15,000 miles a year average on a car, you're going to be looking at that in weeks. These cars are going to be coming in every couple of days for oil changes and service, stuff like that, and like it was mentioned, we may have to have 24-hour service shops, and that's going to be great, you know what I mean? Because it's going to drive the demand for techs up, and, we may actually start getting paid for what we're worth, So we invest a lot of time in technology and money and tools, and, it'll be good to start getting that back soon.
Great insight, David. Peter.
Look, it's like this. Auto mechanics aren't going anywhere. We're going to continue to fix these systems. It's good news for the consumers, the people that own the cars. We can fix your car. They need to know that. It's good news for the shops that are out there that want to be able to fix the cars. The cars are fixable. So all we need to do, little training, little tooling, keep your service information up to speed. When the cars come in, get excited because they're going to be easy to fix. They're not going to be a big hassle for the people that choose the tooling, training, and to keep their service information up to speed. So it's an exciting time to be an auto mechanic, I think.
Donnie, I'll give you the last word, man.
There's nothing I can add to that except to say that my goal in this was to educate my 225,000 friends who do the same thing I do. And if you hear and read the things that came out of this and you think, wow, I wish I was there, you cannot afford to not be at Apex. It's just that simple. It's going to cost you a little bit of money that will pay itself back in spades in so many other ways, even above and beyond the program that we do for you. We'll have a day and a half of stuff, and we're working with the Apex show itself to make some very exciting things so that service repair folks, whether you're an owner or a technician or a service writer, you can actually take home some meat from the actual show itself. So we're really working on that together between ASA and the Apex management, and I am planning to knock it out of the park on business. Bob Greenwood sitting out here on this thing. Bob and I are building a program that I guarantee you will rock your world.
Hey, well, thanks for that little mini commercial, and I don't mind tagging on to that. I'm excited about my role at Apex this year. I'm going to have a podcast studio, and Donnie, I'm going to lead a panel right after November 2nd in the late afternoon of November 2nd, and I think it's all around all the great things that you're doing called Emerging Technologies, and we're going to have a great panel. So looking forward to working with you and to keep the message going. Thank you to Donnie and to David and to Peter and to Craig for being on with us. Have a great day, guys.
Carm.
Bye now.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for being on board to listen and learn from the premier automotive aftermarket podcast. Until next time,